Hey, I'm Randy, and you're watching The Cheap Audio Man. Here at The Cheap Audio Man, we talk about high-value hi-fi, home theater, and headphone equipment. And today, we're talking about 4 reasons why you should go buy a new speaker. Maybe 3 reasons why you shouldn't. I had a lot of fun making up this video, and it could be wildly unpopular. But I guess I'll find out tomorrow. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about why you should buy a new speaker. It's been a while, and I thought they fired me, but they didn't. Sith Audio is back with the audiophile turntable level. There it is right there. It's got a little bubble in it, okay? Listen, it's hard enough to get records to sound good to begin with. A lot of variability. Cartridges, phono preamps. The recording itself, is it a crappy record? Is the record dirty? Well, now one of those variables doesn't matter anymore. Is your turntable level? And are you testing its levelness in an audiophile manner? Sith Audio's got you covered with the audiophile turntable record level. This level is going to make sure your turntable is level, to make sure the sound is perfect in your ears. Unless it's a bad cartridge, a dirty record, a bad pressing, a bad phono preamp, then it won't do anything. Sith Audio audiophile record levels, $399.99. Limited edition, limited run. Go buy it. Alright, this first one, I was going to save this one till the last, but I wanted to make sure that I included it because a lot of people stop watching after a minute or two into my videos. Imagine why. I have no idea why. People probably don't like me. Anyway, the number one reason that you should go buy a new speaker is because your speaker vexes you. Have you ever been vexed? I know I have, and when a speaker does it, it makes me red with anger. Furious. So I have a story. This is from one of my patrons who has become a very close friend of mine and also somewhat of a mentor. The story goes like this. He retired from a very successful career in IT stuff. It's where you do computer stuff. Anyway, kids are gone. He's retired. He's been an audiophile hi-fi enthusiast his whole life since Jethro Tull's Aqualung made him jump off the couch and exclaim, "What is this?" He's at a buddy's house listening to his buddy's hi-fi, and then it made him want to go buy hi-fi stuff. Anyway, the story goes like this. The man loves hi-fi. He's retired now, so he treats himself to a $2,000 pair of Revel speakers. They sounded great in the showroom, but when he got them home, things didn't go too well. They were a bit fatiguing, and the mid-range was not very good at all. They sounded good, though, in the showroom. At home, though, that speaker vexed him to the point where he tried to convince himself that there was something wrong with him because he didn't like these speakers. Because he had a much more affordable pair of Wharfedale towers that he liked more. They sounded better. Bigger soundstage, better mid-range, not shrill, not fatiguing. He had one of the representatives from the company that he purchased these speakers from come to his home, and he said, because at this point he thinks he's going crazy. He thinks he's being gaslit by this company over these expensive speakers. So he has the guy come to his house and he A/Bs them. And he looks at the guy and he says, "Which one do you think sounds better?" And this is what the guy's reaction was. Who worked for the company? Who probably sold him the speakers initially? Well, we got a pair of demo such and such that are way more expensive than this, but I guess I can give you a deal on them. That was his response. Well, go buy more expensive speakers. Anyway, if you're having the same situation, if you bought a pair of speakers and you don't like the way they sound and you're trying to convince yourself that they should be sounding better to you, probably time to go speaker shopping. You've got 20 years or more with the same speaker. Now, I'm not saying a new speaker is going to sound better. Could be quite the opposite. But if you've had 20 years or more with the same speaker, you've gotten your investment back. It may be time to go explore other things. And if you're curious, go buy some. Maybe there's something that's tickled your fancy, something you're curious about. Go find a retailer that has a return policy. Preferably one that will pay for shipping back to them. Or, like Crutchfield, you have to pay like $10 to ship it back to them. Go buy something. Bring them into your home and then A/B them against your 20-year-old or 30-year-old speaker and see if you like something better. It's like a marriage. I know you've shared many moments with this speaker. You've laughed. You've cried. They've moved you emotionally, but they probably smell a little bit now. Maybe the drivers have some type of rot in them. They probably smell like an old library book. So maybe it's a good time to go look at new speakers because you've gotten your money out of them. 20, 30 years on a speaker, maybe it's time to go speaker shopping. You're old now, and you have some discretionary funds. Listen, we all know how... You're old now, and you have some discretionary funds. Listen, we all know what a financial drain children can be on the pocketbook and your speaker money. But after the kids have left the house and you're done paying for college, it might be time for you to consider treating yourself to a new speaker. Because now that you're old, you have more money. So you can look at those Heresies, or those Proacs, or any of the other speakers. Listen, I know right now, there's a speaker in your head. If you're old, and the kids have gone, and you're done paying alimony, there's a speaker in your head that you've always thought about. Maybe it's time to go buy it. Because the kids are gone, or incarcerated because they made bad decisions. Either way, maybe time to go speaker shopping. You've outgrown your speakers, or they've become a physical hazard in your home. So let's say you've moved into a new house, bigger living room, or they've moved from a different room or something like that. So now they're in a bigger living room. Before, they were in a little apartment. They were perfect. They sounded awesome. Now they're in a giant living room that has 20-foot ceilings and is an open concept that your wife insisted on buying. But guess what? How do you change the light bulbs now? Or the fire detector when the battery goes dead? Good luck. Anyway, maybe your little speakers are in a big room now. That's my point. I'm trying to get to that point. Or you've downsized because the kids are out of the house. You don't need 5 rooms in the house. So you can go buy that little cottage that you've always been looking at. But you only have tower speakers. And now you're trying to shove them into it. And the tower speakers don't have enough elbow room anymore. So if your situation has changed and the room maybe isn't perfect for your speakers, well, maybe it's time to go speaker shopping. Some reasons not to buy a new speaker. We just talked about reasons to buy a new speaker, reasons not to buy a new speaker. You got the 7-month itch. You just got that pair of speakers. It's great. You've been listening to them for a while, but they're not new anymore. That honeymoon speaker phase is over. You start looking around. You get wandering eyes. Maybe there's something better out there. Maybe a 3-way. Anyway, you've had the speakers for a while, but not too long. And anyway, you want something new because you like new stuff. I think it was Lou Holtz that said, if you go have a nice meal, it makes you feel good for an hour. If you buy a new car, it makes you feel good for a week. But if you win a championship, it makes you feel good for a lifetime. I don't know what that has to do with buying speakers, but I guess it has something to do with instant gratification. I don't know. This video is a lot of fun probably for you right now. If you've had a speaker for less than a year and you're wanting to buy another speaker, it could be just because you're bored with it, especially if there's nothing sonically wrong. Like you're not listening to it, oof, man, this mid-range is horrible, or it's veiled, or I don't like this speaker anymore. If it's just because you've had it for 7 months, just hold on to it. Go buy some new records or something like that. Maybe move them around a little bit. Take the grills off, put the grills on. Change them up. Put a Rocktopus on top of them. Rocktopus is a lot cheaper than buying a whole new set of speakers. You've just watched a review, and that YouTuber said these are the best speakers they've ever heard, or they're the best speakers, or they're much better than the previous generation. Listen, any idiot can put a video on YouTube. I can barely read, and I put videos on YouTube. Tell me what movie that's from. Just because some YouTubers are singing the praises of a speaker, and if there's multiple YouTubers doing that around the same time, it probably means that the marketing person sent out multiple speakers to multiple people to kind of coordinate a release. There's nothing wrong with that. I've been a part of that personally. But just because 1, 2, 3, or even 4 YouTubers are saying this is a great speaker, doesn't mean you have to go run out and buy it. If there's nothing wrong with what you have and you're happy with it and it continues to bring you joy, don't let a talking head like me tell you to go get something else. Be happy with what you have. It's my job to talk about new equipment. And if you bought every new thing that I reviewed and I liked, you would be broke. So don't do that. And give it some time too, because a new speaker that comes out there's always going to be something better. If a speaker's really good, like if a piece of electronics is good, it's going to be good a year from now or 2 years from now. And that speaker will continue to get referenced even amongst the newer crop of speakers coming in. So if you're interested in a speaker and somebody says, hey, this is great, I've done it before. I say speakers are great all the time. Come on a live stream 6 months later and say, hey, what do you think about X? Do you still like that speaker? How do you think it compares to other speakers that you've heard? Because 6 months from the time that I review that speakers, chances are I will have listened to more speakers. So just pump the brakes a little bit. Don't run out and go buy something just because me or some other YouTubers are saying, hey, this is awesome. It's a great deal though. How many times have you been on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or something else and you found a good deal on something and you don't even need a new speaker. You're just like perusing the classifieds and there's a great deal on something. Maybe it's something that you haven't heard or something that you're not familiar with, but it's a great deal. You don't need to buy it. I'm guilty of this. I have done this in the past where I see something and it's close to me, tower speakers, something like that, from a brand that I've had a bit of interest in the past before, know nothing about the speakers, and I find myself putting in offers on this speaker that I've never heard because it's a good deal. Don't do it. Don't do it. And if something's being discontinued and blown out as far as price, doesn't mean you need to go buy it. I just did a discontinued video on a subwoofer. I've done a lot of videos on discontinued items because I think they can be a great deal, but I try to describe the sound. I try to let people know who the speaker is going to be for. I don't just say, hey, this is a great deal, go buy it. It's the best speaker ever. I don't do that. I try not to do that. So just because you're getting a good deal on something doesn't mean you need to go buy it. But if you're interested in it, then take a look at it because great deals are awesome. But only if you need a new speaker. Not just because you have upgrade-itis. Okay? Okay. A lot of fun on this video. So if you want to support the channel, sign up for Patreon, Patreon-only Facebook group, Discord group, Zooms on Sunday night. You can buy me a cup of coffee. There's a thanks button down at the bottom. Don't feel compelled to buy me anything, though. I also have my merchandise. You can buy this mug. It says Rocktopus on the front, and then binge to listen and fill your soul with happiness on the back. It's a great coffee mug. You can also sign up for Amazon Music or Tidal Music. In the links in the description, okay? So don't go binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu unless it's football or Andor, which is pretty awesome. That's on Disney Plus though. Binge listen and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the cheap audio man.